Welcome to today's deep dive. Today we are looking at this seemingly simple source. It's a product page from a 25-year-old company called HDTV Supply.
Right. They've been around a while.
Yeah. And our mission here is to use just one specific item from their catalog to kind of decode this whole extreme hidden world of mega AV infrastructure.
It's actually a world you interact with constantly, but you probably rarely notice it. We're zeroing in on this thing called the DVIGear Hyperlight Cable.
Okay, I have it pulled up here.
Which, it's an HDMI cable, but it's 30 meters long. So that's over 98 feet. And crucially, it uses active optical technology to move the data.
Wait, so if you're used to just, plugging a basic 3-foot copper wire into a TV in your living room, a 98-foot cord sounds a little crazy. Like, why even use optical light for an HDMI cable? Doesn't standard copper work fine?
Well, copper's great for short distances.
Right, like standard living room setups.
Exactly. But it suffers from severe signal attenuation over long runs. When you push massive amounts of high-definition data over a copper wire, the electrical resistance naturally degrades the signal.
Oh, sure.
Plus, think about a massive commercial building. It's just filled with electromagnetic interference from, power lines and heavy machinery.
So by the time a massive 4K signal travels 100 feet through standard copper, it's just completely garbled.
Yeah, essentially garbled. So optical cables just bypass that entirely.
Oh, because they literally have tiny lasers built right into the connectors, right? Like, they take the electrical signal from the source and translate it into these microscopic pulses of light.
Right, and then they shoot it down glass fibers. So you are bypassing electrical resistance entirely.
Wow. Okay, so if you have this massive optical fire hose shooting data perfectly over these huge distances...
You can't just plug that directly into a standard monitor.
All right, you'd need some serious hardware to catch and direct it.
Exactly. And that brings us to their HDMI modular matrix switchers. HDTV Supply actually lists over 2,000 configurations, specifically their Wolfpack line.
Yeah, I saw those. They handle standard 1080p, 4K, and AV over IP, which I think means routing high-definition audio and video directly over standard computer networks.
Yeah.
But how exactly does a matrix switcher work in this context?
Well, think of it like a really high-speed digital postal sorting facility.
Okay, I like that analogy.
So if you send a single high-resolution video feed into the switcher, it doesn't just passively point it to one screen. It instantly replicates that exact letter, that data packet, and delivers identical copies.
To like a massive 10x1 video wall.
Right, or to dozens of independent monitors simultaneously without tearing the image or lagging at all.
And looking at the specs, they aren't just controlled by a sleek mobile app or their Wolfpad tablets. They also use RS-232 connections.
Which is absolutely vital. RS-232 is an older classic standard for serial communication. It doesn't rely on Wi-Fi or complicated network routing.
So it's just a direct hardwired control line for industrial hardware.
Exactly. It offers bulletproof reliability.
And that industrial reliability actually brings me to something I genuinely don't get in this catalog.
Oh, what's that?
Well, when you look at who they are selling this to, it's two wildly different extremes. On one hand, they have these mega sports bar TV systems routing up to 160 TVs at once with DirecTV app integration.
Right.
But then they heavily advertise compliance with high-level government purchasing networks, like the NASA Sub-B program and TAA-approved products. I just have to call a timeout here. Are you seriously saying a sports bar needs NASA-level technology?
It sounds like absurd overkill until you look at the physics involved. TAA approval means the hardware meets strict government manufacturing origin requirements, and SEPT is NASA's own massive procurement program for IT.
What does that have to do with a sports bar just daisy-chaining some cable boxes together?
Because the fundamental physics of moving data, they just don't care if you're the government or a bartender. Whether you are managing 100 different live sports feeds for a packed room of screaming fans, or routing critical rocket telemetry data across a space agency command center, the physical requirement is identical.
Meaning no delays or drops.
Right. You cannot tolerate a single millisecond of latency, signal drop, or pixelation. The sheer bandwidth required to push uncompressed 4K video to 160 screens simultaneously just demands military-grade infrastructure.
Oh, wow. So the stakes are completely different, but the math is exactly the same.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. It really reframes what you're looking at. The next time you sit down in a massive sports bar surrounded by dozens of screens, you'll know exactly what kind of invisible laser-powered tech is working behind the walls.
Yeah. All supplied by companies with tens of thousands of positive reviews, keeping those screens humming flawlessly. And, it raises a really fascinating question for what comes next.
Oh, right, because their source material briefly lists an entirely separate catalog for emerging 8K products, which is quadruple the data of 4K.
Exactly.
So if pushing 4K already requires tiny lasers and optical glass just to travel 30 meters without the signal degrading, what on earth is the physical infrastructure going to look like when our data demands quadruple for 8K?
This is a wild physical limitation to think about.